feedback is good. That's very good.
Thank you. Hey, my just for planning purposes, my sales guys told me not next week's show, but the show that goes over Christmas weekend is going to be preempted again by Air Force football.
Gosh, dang.
So we'll record next week and then we'll skip a week. Christmas Day is on a Monday. Well,
It
are you
is,
guys
but
going to
Air
be
Force
working?
didn't make it to a bowl game. That's why you're being preempted.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
Are you guys working on the 26th, the day after Christmas?
I am.
Yes, I
Yes.
think so.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we'll plan on doing the show.
Excellent.
So there's no reason why I can't do it. Not going anywhere.
All right.
Okay. Just want to make sure everything's.
So, as somebody who used to be in the military, what do you think of Dick Durbin's idea that, yeah, we ought to just have people who came to the country illegally, and that'll help us fill up the military because we can't recruit anybody anymore?
Yeah, that's not going. Well, first of all, I don't know if you saw the pictures this morning of all these men very well dressed with suitcases from China. What in the heck do you think they're here for?
I know. Apparently, I had an expert on the show, and he said they estimate that about 50,000 of them have come to the U.S. And he said, you can go down to Venezuela or any of these places. You can tell what these guys are because I've been in the military. I know I've been around the world. I can tell you what the average young man in China looks like. And I can tell you that this guy with this particular haircut, with this particular stature and bearing and teeth, that guy's in the military because he had dental work and all the rest. And these guys over here, yeah, that's Chinese.
Well, I have a story to tell. It's kind of an aside. I was 1,000 years ago in the 1981 or 82. I'm not sure which year it was. I was in the Philippines, and they had this one road. It was cut out of the jungle, literally cut out of the jungle. They had 12-foot chain link fences on either side. And the only destination at the end of that road, which is about 3 miles, I think, was the hospital. But in between was a big, thick jungle. And so, but it was a good jogging run because it was a lot of hills and stuff. And I was young and thought I was fit. I don't think so. But anyway, so this one day, it's always hot there. It's always like 95 and 100% humidity. I decided to go for a jog by myself down this road. And I'm jogging down the road and I look over, and on top of the fence are 3 or 4 monkeys. Now, the problem with these monkeys is that they're not very big. They might be the size of a good sized dog, maybe. But they have the power of 5 men. They're very strong. And if they bite you, you have to take the rabies shots. So I'm the only one there. I'm running down the hill, and I'm sure I couldn't run faster than they could. But they were just kind of like tracking me. They would go along the top of the fence and I'd look at them and I would stop and they would stop. I'm sorry for this long story, but it's kind of weird. And then I'd start going again and they'd go again. And it was like a game for them, I think. And I'm thinking, I'm screwed because I'm going towards a hospital. There's only one way out, which is coming back that way. So I see this guy running up the hill. He looked very fit. He had on a vest, like a Marine vest. And so he was wearing extra weight to make him more fit. And he was running up the hill very fast. And I waved him down and I said, "Excuse me, can I run with you?" And he goes, okay. I said, "Those monkeys are chasing me." So as soon
Sounds
as
like a scene from The Wizard of Oz.
it was really funny. And it was funny because as soon as I started running with him, monkeys disappeared. They left. I wasn't any fun anymore. So I'm struggling to get up this hill. And I'm kind of half out of breath. And he was asking me where I was from. And I got in the service from Texas. So I said, "I'm from Texas," and and then I noticed he had this accent, and I said, "Where are you from?" And he goes, "I'm from Yugoslavia."
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, "Wow." I said, how'd you get in the Marines?" And so he told me the story about how his dad, this is when it was communist, those countries were communist and Putin owned them. And his dad escaped through one of those Slavic countries to the US. And then he got his kids out, and they ended up being in LA as teenagers, went to high school, and then he joined the Marines. So I'm assuming he was a citizen. I don't know. I didn't ask him that, but it made me, it just, when I heard that story this morning, I'm like, it's one thing if they're an immigrant that becomes a citizen.
Yes.
This is a completely different deal.
That's, to me, Barb, you're exactly right. That's the distinction as far as I'm concerned. The guy you're talking about, and I was at a swearing in ceremony, and there were a couple, like maybe 4 guys who were in the army who had come from other countries, but they didn't sneak into the country and come in illegally. And,
they aren't criminals going out of the gate. And then I started thinking, okay, how are they getting in the service if they already have a criminal record? Are they going to get a clearance? Are they going to get all the benefits that veterans get? How can they say, "Oh, you don't get VA benefits if you serve, but these people do"? I mean, that's not going to work. I don't know
thought of that,
who this guy is, but when you think about it, that means that if they stay for 20 years, they get medical for the rest of their lives. If they stay for, I think it's only like 3 years, they get the ability to use their VA loan to purchase homes. If they get disabled out, they are on the payroll forever for the military. So there's a lot to it. And at what point do they cross the line and they're allowed to vote? So
they'll do that as quickly as they can, don't you think?
Yeah, but it's like, does the federal law not mean anything to these people? I don't get it, but it's scary. We're going to lose our country if Biden gets reelected.
And it is such an extreme, security risk.
Mhm.
I know what they're going to say. Oh, no. We're going to have these people that and background checks and all that. You're going to do that on all of these people from China and stuff. You know what? I don't trust you. I don't trust them. That's pretty much the end of it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Sorry for the long story.
No, I think it's interesting. In fact, I think it's pertinent as well. Okay.
But, I was just at that time, I assumed that you had to be born and bred in America before you could join the service, but I don't think so. I think you have to be a citizen.
Well,
but I'm not sure.
I don't see. I think things have changed, because I think when I met these guys, and I was in television still at that point. I think when I met these guys, it was that you could be like a foreigner at a visa or whatever. In any event, you're in the country legally. Mm-hmm. And then instead they, you serve in the military, and then you become, or you're eligible, I should say. You're eligible to, wait, I had to print something here, Barbara. I'm sorry. You're eligible to become a citizen, but they were in the country, and I didn't think to ask about, okay, but wait. So why are they in the country? And it had to be either like a visa or something. I don't know exactly what, but.
Or they're refugees or something.
Yeah.
But if they became.
Not illegally.
Right. They're not illegal. They're not in there illegally. So I don't know. I don't think it's really going to fly. It's an idea that this guy floated. And could you imagine what would happen to morale in the service if all of a sudden you had, like, my son just got kind of temporarily promoted to captain, Captain Schlinker. It's the third Captain Schlinker in the family. We had Mark, and then I was captain of a little twin Cessna. And then now we got Max, captain in the Marines. So anyway, I just can't imagine having these people in your unit, you know, and what they're able to glean just from being in the unit. They don't even have to share anything, right? They could take pictures, these our
They're
son
gonna be on
is
military installations. Who knows? Are you going to put them on a ship? You can put them
right.
on the Air Force Base?
Yeah, or even in a Marine unit. They're
Yeah.
going to learn their tactics. I mean, it is really scary. It's really scary. I would think it'd be very demoralizing for morale. And I don't know. I don't know where Dick Durbin is from, but
He's from Illinois, and he was honestly, when I was still in law school, he was already in Congress. And so he's been there forever.
Mhm.
And my thing that pisses me off, pardon the language, is they create the problem with all these people here illegally by not securing the border. So his
Right.
problem for all these people in the country is, oh, we'll let them serve in the military. That's a horrible idea. And you created the problem to begin with. And the military can't reach its quotas. That's because you guys decided that the military had to be PC. So you created that problem as well. You're solving two problems that you guys created.
I don't know that it's a solution though. I think the recruiting will get worse.
I think it would too. I
if
mean,
they do
and
this.
anecdotally, I've had friends who talked about, people they knew in the military who one was I don't know if he's a 1-star, 2-star, but all he had to do was hang around a little bit longer and he would have gotten another star. I think he had to hang out 2 more years to get another star. And he's like, you know what? I might as well just cash in right now. And that's what he did. And I've got to believe that happens fairly frequently.
Yeah, I mean, you reach a point where, the only job I wanted to go back to was to be a pilot, but now I'm too old. There's an age limit. I think they just upped it to 67. So I have a month left if I could be a pilot.
Tell you what, I need to grab my script off, not the intros off of printer, another room. I'll be right back. I thought I had them right here, but apparently.
Okay.
Okay, now I am ready. I apologize.
All
I
right.
thought I grabbed this stuff off the printer, but I hadn't. Well, I think those are good stories. I mean, that's why when you can talk with somebody like you who's been in the military, I mean, because all I can do is I can imagine what it's like, but you don't have to imagine anything. You know what it's like. So,
Well, I was in peacetime Navy. It's pretty easy. But when I hear about Max's experiences and, the tactics that they're learning, going out in the fields, procedures, you don't want some Chinese spy amongst you doing, paying attention and taking pictures. They are posting these young kids that are in the Marines. They can't help it. They're so indoctrinated with TikTok. They're actually some of the images that Max sent us from Australia were posted on TikTok.
wow.
And Mark made a comment about that. He's like, that's owned by China. Why in the heck are they doing that? But I'm sure they got spies there too. But
I think we knew the extent to which they had spies, we'd be stunned. I think if we knew the extent to which the United States had spies on their own people, we'd be stunned as well. All right, I got a new clock. I got a script. I got you. I got DJ. I'm ready to go. How about you, Barb?
I think so. I think I'm ready.
He's always ready.
Is my audio okay, DJ? You want me closer? A little closer?
It's good quality.
Okay. That's what I care about.
All right, count us down in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot. And Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking to you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. And if you can't listen to the entire show, remember, it's always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or just search Barb on most of the popular podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, etc. Every week, the Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of your largest assets, your home. So, Barb, what are we going to be covering today?
Well, I'm excited about today's show, Richard, because there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the real estate market. The rates are still pretty high. They're in the low sevens, which has created an awful lot of demand destruction on the buy side. The buyers actually have more choices now than they did in the last couple of years. So I've got some new statistical information that I want to share with you about why I think the Colorado Springs market will actually climb in 2024. And then we're also going to talk about, leads more into the uncertainty factor. Should I sell my house now or wait? A lot of people fear that the values are going down. There has been more negotiations happening. There's more concessions being offered up by sellers. That is going on. But I want to kind of fly backwards and higher and just look at the big picture and kind of get into what would be the best strategy if I were thinking of selling a home right now. And then one of my favorite topics is Zillow. So every time we talk to a home seller, which is quite frequently every single week, and we ask them what they think their house is worth, almost without fail, they'll say, well, Zillow says my house is worth X. And we're going to talk about exactly how accurate those Zillow values are. And I think you'll be surprised at the answer. And then the very last topic is one that's fun for me, and it's about negotiations. And the question is, does your agent really know how to negotiate? Because it's not a topic that's really taught that much in the industry, but the public assumes that agents know how to negotiate. So we'll deep dive into that. And then, of course, as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
Well, Barb, we wade into the holiday season right now. So what's in store for the future of our area real estate market?
Well, Richard, we're going to kind of break it down into different factors that can give you an indication of where the market's going. So what we're seeing right now, just nationwide, the number of available homes is high, but people are thinking, these statisticians are thinking that the the surge in inventory has really slowed down. It's dropped to just 1%. I think the Colorado Springs area inventory, the numbers are indicating it's up about 4% as compared to a year ago. So a number of available homes, what that means to a home seller is you have more competition. And you know, the toughest competition right now is new construction, because they are offering great incentives to buyers. Even though they may not get the beautiful lots that back to open space and the mature landscaping, a lot of these buyers are kind of demanding new finishes in the house, new appliances, all the bells and whistles. So that's kind of hurting the resale market a little bit. But if you look back, going back all the way to 2019, there are actually fewer homes on the market than there were back then, yet the population has grown. That is surprising to me. And that's because basically some people are kind of stuck. They're in this catch-22 of, okay, I bought my house whenever it was, 5-10 years ago. I had this fantastic interest rate of 3%. But if I need to make a move, the rates right now are in the 7s. So even though I might have some equity that I could pull out of my house, when I buy my next home, my payment is going to be a lot higher. So they have to really do the math and figure it out. And what I've seen is a lot of home sellers are kind of reluctant to put their house on the market. And then some of it, of course, is seasonality. What I mean by that is, here we are in the holiday season, going into early winter. Many times there are just looking back historically, as long as I've been in the business, there are fewer available homes on the market during the winter months until we get to about May, and then it starts to kick up again. So if you're a seller, in a way, that's a good thing because you have fewer homes to compete with. But if you're a buyer, you have fewer homes to choose from. So it's it kind of affects both sides of the market. And I think we'll see a little bit of pickup in inventory. And the one metrics I think we need to watch for really is the level of interest rates. We're not going to see 3% again for a 30-year fixed. If that happens again, it's going to be something's wrong, or the government's intervening with what's going on in the market. But it appears people are moving up, and they're going to kind of get over this increase of interest rates, or back to normality is what I really think it is in interest rates. They'll get used to it, and they're more likely to choose to move. That's what I anticipate we're going to see happen. And we are seeing more and more homes go up on the market. The sales volume is going up just slightly, not a whole lot. But we're seeing more contracts right now than we've seen really in the past couple of weeks. Just to short term put it in perspective, back in October, the interest rates went up to over 8%, and that created all kinds of demand destruction. We've since corrected down about 1%, not quite 1 percentage point. But if you look back on what happened last year, which was kind of newer to the interest rate changes, we saw prices rise in the springtime when the rates came down a little bit. So a lot of these experts are saying that we might see the rates come down, or at least stay the same. So the forecast for some of these experts is, yes, we might see inventory increase, but we also might see sales increase at the same time. So, and if you are thinking of making a move right now in this market, if you need to move, it's not a bad time. If you kind of zoom out and take a look at what's happened in the last 5 years, the home prices have gone up substantially. So if you need to move, you absolutely have to get what I call the 4 P's right. P for preparation, make sure your home is as nice as you can get it. Picking the right agent's really, really important. You wouldn't believe how many people contact me every single week and say, hey, my house is not selling. What can I do? Can you help me? Pricing is a critical part of it. And then, of course, promoting, making sure you have good marketing photos for your home when you do go on the market. And this is what we do. We offer a free in-home consultation on how to get the 4 P's right. If you are thinking of making a move. But we also have free reports on our website. You can go to barbhasthebuyers.com, click on free reports. This one I'm featuring on this show is the top 7 tips to get your house ready to sell for top dollar. You can order that by going to barbhasthebuyers.com or call 719-301-3900. And so if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. One of the things that we do is we give an in-home consultation. We give you tips on how to get your home ready for sale, go over all the closing costs, give you a really good idea what your home will sell for, so you'll know exactly how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells. And then we go from there if you are thinking of moving. But what are you supposed to watch? You got to watch if the rates go up and the inventory goes up, then we're going to see prices go down. If the rates go down, then we're going to see buyer demand pick up. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the current real estate market. You're on top of it month after month, week after week, pretty much day after day. So let me do that again. Barb, we're discussing the current real estate market. You stay on top of it, of course, monthly, weekly, pretty much daily. So how can people be prepared if they want to buy or sell? And what should home sellers expect and do in a market like this?
Well, one good glimmer of hope is that we will continue to see this lower inventory stay kind of low as compared to the demand for buyers. And the only thing holding back buyers really is the interest rates, unless they have cash. So as compared to 2018, this new low inventory will become normal. And some buyers are just kind of sitting on the sidelines, sort of waiting to pounce. I'll give you a couple of examples. Like, in any market, I don't care what's going on in the market. I've been in the business since the 90s. I remember the mortgage meltdown. And at that time, there were probably more than double of the homes on the market than what we're seeing right now. But most of the resales were not selling. The homes that were selling were the ones that were priced, what I call uber realistically, very, very low as compared to others. And it represented the best deal for the buyer. So in any market, the buyer is always going to jump on the best deal. As an example, I just sold a home last week down in the southwest part of town. And it's an older house. It was built in 1960. It had some updates to it during its life, but nothing special. And it needed some work, right? So the strategy is, if we'd have priced it at what the comps indicated, it would have sat there and the buyers were just going to pick it apart. Pick. It needs this and it needs that. So what we did was we priced it below market by about probably 5 to 7%. And we ended up having, I think it was 85 people at the open house. We had multiple offers, and it just closed for $30,000 over asking price. So the market gravitates to the market when faced with competition. And that's exactly what happened on that home. And so if the buyers are waiting for the rates to fall, it's okay to do that. In fact, I talked to a lender this past week and said, hey, why are the sellers being asked to pay all these loan closing costs now? Why can't you guys help? Oh, no, we're expecting the rates to go down and they're all going to refinance. So these lenders don't want to commit to helping their own buyers with their own closing costs. And so we're seeing a lot of that in the negotiations. And I'll get into that on the very last topic. But for people out there thinking about kind of timing the market, I would say you want to be ahead of it. And interest rates, the mortgage interest rates, are a really great indication of where the future of the markets are going. Consumers are actually sensitive to the change in interest rates versus the actual interest rates. So a lot of even the finance shows that I watch all the time, they're indicating right now that, they think that the rates are either going to stay the same or go down at some point into the spring. And that will be a signal that maybe it's time to make a move. So what should they do if they're selling right now? Be like builders. Make sure your house is ready for sale. Offer some good incentives to attract the buyer to want to come in. And make sure you take care of any what I call deferred maintenance, because nobody wants to take on somebody's tired, old, stinky carpet. They're just not going to even go look at the house, let alone make an offer. So get ahead of those things. That's the best way to make sure you presented the home in the best light to be the best home on the block. And then, of course, picking the right team to help you sell your home is really, really important. There are still agents out there that will just use their smartphone to take pictures as if it doesn't matter. And it really does matter, because you just don't know how many of these buyers are eliminating the home based on the online presentation. So you have to put all in to that to make sure. You have to hire the agent that's going to make sure they're marketing the home to present the home in absolutely the best light. So if you are thinking of making a move, we offer that free service. We'll introduce you to at least 100 of our own buyers in waiting that are looking for homes that might be interested in a home just like yours. So call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about, should you sell your home now or should you wait? Back after this. There we are. It's like riding a bike.
A little bit long on that one.
You know what? I'm going to wait. I got something right here. I was going to say, I'm going to get I've got the worst treatment headache, and I think it's from this paraphernalia I have to wear for my teeth. I have Tylenol. Well, I think the orange ones are Tylenol.
No, those are Advil.
Okay, and what are the brown ones? Oh, there's something.
I'm dysfunctional with a headache.
She's dysfunctional with a headache.
I am pretty close to it. I mean, I don't think I've ever had like a migraine. I think I would know if I had a migraine. So if I can say I'm not sure, I think that's pretty clear indication that I have not had one. But I have to say, I get just with a bad tension headache, or I was in a car accident and my neck got banged around, and I can feel it some days, other times I can't. And today and yesterday I can feel it absolutely. And I don't know why it gives me a headache, but it does. So,
and I don't like taking drugs. I had to do that for the cold, and I know it messes up your digestive system to take those medications. It's really not good for you at all. But at some point you got to deal with the pain, and I didn't want to tough it out. So I'm like, well, take these pills. I like taking those NyQuil that just like knock me out.
Well, that's me too. There's NyQuil ZZZ, or I use this stuff Unison, but the problem is that I have to use like 4 of them, and you're only supposed to take 2. But if I take 2, it doesn't work. If I take 4, it takes about an hour for them to work. But once they do, they work.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good for a new one.
Okay, I'm ready.
Script, David, and here we go. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, we're seeing fewer homes on the market than previous years, yet it's no longer a hot seller's market. Many people are asking if they should wait to sell their home or sell now. So what are your thoughts on the topic?
Well, Richard, I've been in real estate for a number of years. I started back in 1996, so that's a long time. And I can tell you that I've seen all kinds of markets, all kinds. I've seen it where it was a balanced market, where it typically took 90 days to sell. And just so you know, for typical home sellers, that's a lot of pain. They don't like having their house sit on the market, having to keep it clean every single day, having to worry about when their next showing is and are they prepared and that kind of thing. So it's painful to make your house a showcase because it's a lot of pressure to make it look pretty all that time. We're not quite in that market, but are we ever going to see a market like we did 2 years ago, where everything went on the market, sold with a huge bidding war, and it was just a lot of fun if you were a seller? I don't know. I don't think I'd see that in my career unless something really weird happened. So I think it's abnormal, but the one good thing about that is that overall the prices went up and they're staying relatively stable. So if you are thinking of selling and you need to sell, you should sell when it's right for you and not even worry about the market. We're going to help you position the home if you choose to work with us, so that you get the most money for that time. However, overall, you're going to be better off in terms of equity and net proceeds if you do decide to sell. It's just that it's not going to happen overnight in most cases. I'll give you an example. I've got a home closing next week that is in a nice lot in the southwest part of town. It's a 4-level. They did everything right. The kitchen had been updated. They updated all the bathrooms. It's got nice fresh flooring. It's in really, really good condition. And they decided to price it right. So there was a big broad range of similar sales for that size home in that neighborhood. It was almost $100,000 swing, but they decided to price it more on the realistic side versus the optimistic side. And the result was, and we're talking just 2 weeks ago, when supposedly the sky is falling, we had 36 people at the open house. We went on to have another probably dozen showings. We had 2 offers at the same time, and it's under contract for over asking price. So that is the best outcome. It means that they did everything right. They prepared the home, they got ready, they went on the market, and it's going to work out really great for them in terms of their buyer was even willing to let them stay for a month after closing to finish serving out his obligation with his job. So that kind of stuff is a win-win situation. And you will get that if you offer the home on the market to make it very desirable. So I would do it when it works for you. Don't even worry about timing the market. Don't even look back at what happened 2 years ago, because that's not going to happen anymore. The prices are still relatively the same. So what you should be thinking about is, what is your reason for moving? What does it cost to go to your next destination? Does the current market affect it or not, especially at the destination? As an example, I have one client that was planning to move to another state, and we were getting things ready, even got the agreement signed, and then they realized, well, there's really nothing I want on the market out there. So they decided to slow it down just a little bit and build. Now, there's some risk to that. So they're going to stay in their current home for maybe 6 months longer, and the market could change. I don't think it will change that fast. I think we're going to be almost a duplicate of last year with a little bit more buying activity. So we'll see the prices go up in the spring, and we'll see a little bit more inventory hit the market in the summer and the fall. And it's just going to be a little bit more of a balanced market versus a hot market. And then the next most obvious question is, when you're moving, does it make sense for you financially? So I spent some time, I actually did some research and looked into some different studies on why most people move. And just so you know, the services we provide are to help people to do one of the most stressful things that they do in their lifetimes: move. Everybody says it's painful and it's hard and it's not fun. But there's a reason for the madness. So 32% of them do it for a job relocation, 24% because they can move to a more desirable location, and 21%, I actually thought this number was bigger, 21% are moving because they have family or support system elsewhere. So, and I tend to meet a lot of those clients. Typically they're moving to be close to grandkids, which there's nothing that's going to stop them when it's time to do that, which I think is wonderful. You also have to look at the cost of your destination. So are they improving their lifestyle or not? Some people are doing that. Like I had one couple that he's been working hard for the last 25, 30 years, and he wants to retire, but he's got this big house payment. So he didn't want to update the home. So we priced it very realistically. And what was so cool about that is he was able to sell his current home, pay cash for his next home, and he could work if he wanted, but he could retire if he wanted to. So I'm really proud they made that decision, because it was going to help them, into their retirement. The current market, you want to definitely pick a destination. My experience has been most people will not move until they have the target in their sights, and then they will move. And what are the cost of those homes? How much will their current home sell for now? That they need to know that in order to know what they can afford in their next place, and what are the market conditions in different places. We just helped our son. We partnered together and helped him buy a home in the desert in California. And it was really, I've got decades of real estate experience, but I don't know anything about that market. And I wasn't even going to try. But when I did hire an agent, that was the first question pretty much I asked. I said, so if we make an offer on this home, what is normal? What would be a reasonable offer? And right away she goes, oh, I think all these homes are overpriced by $15,000. Now, I don't know if that was true or not, but when it came time to make the offer and she started talking with the listing agent, The listing agent gave her a clue as to what was successful and that they didn't have deals go through before. So we negotiated that deal. It worked out great. Everybody was happy. Everybody, the seller was happy. We were happy. Our son's really happy because he now has a garage to put in his muscle car in. And, you know, he's got a good house to live in that's comfortable. So I think it does, you have to think about, does it make sense financially? And then you can't worry about what's going to happen in the future. Next year is going to be an election year. It should be interesting, to say the least. However, I think probably we're going to see more of the same just because of that. And just to put it in perspective, the average person moves every 11 years. So let's look back on the last 11 years just to see what the market has done in that time. So if I went back, I just pulled out our statistical data for this region. And to my surprise, the average home price 11 years ago was $215,000. You can't even buy a condo for that right now. And 4 years ago, the average price was $350,000. And now the average price is $555,000. So if you go back 11 years, that's $240,000 more than that. I can't think. $340,000 of equity you would have enjoyed just by owning a home for the last 11 years and doing absolutely nothing other than owning it and maintaining it. So that's a really good investment because people have to live somewhere anyway. It's better than renting. So I would say focus on your goals. I know when I meet with home sellers, almost all of them say we want the most money, right? I get that. But overpricing is not necessarily going to get you there. And I just told that story about the one that they underpriced. They priced very realistically and it sold for over asking price. So you're not going to get that if you shoot for the moon. There's going to be fewer showings. Buyers are going to find other things that they like better, especially new construction competition, which you really got to worry about. So you really want to focus on what is it that's going to work to get my goals without being too overzealous about squeezing every penny of equity out of the home. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. I'm also the broker and owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. And right now we're talking about whether or not a home seller should sell now or later. And when we come back, we're actually going to talk about what are the factors that a seller should focus on. And really, if you need to move now, it's not a bad time. In fact, if you look back historically, the springtime is when I've noticed that home sellers have the most competition and they tend to command top dollar. So if you are thinking of making a move in the next 3 to 6 months, one of the free services that we provide is we'll sit down with you, go over all the closing costs, give you a good idea what your home will sell for, how much you put in your pocket when it sells, and we'll share with you our 27,776 buyers in our database of buyers in waiting, of which at least 100 might be interested in your home. Give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call her 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, what are the key factors that home sellers should consider when they're planning to make their next move?
Well, I believe it's the 4 P's again, and these are really, really important when you're selling. If you get this right, you're going to have the best experience. But if you expect the buyers to come in and pay you top dollar with your old tired carpet, it's not going to work. They're going to pick it apart. Even appliances they're whining about these days. So preparation is really important to get top dollar, and that's part of what we help our clients do. Picking the right agent is absolutely critical because you need good advice. And you also need great marketing. Pricing the home correctly is also very, very critical. And promotion is a part of that marketing that makes sure that when the buyers see it on the internet, they don't pass it by. Because guess what? The internet shows you everything. It shows you every amount they think your house is worth. It shows the internet all the prices that you've had your home listed for. And just so you know, if there is any deferred maintenance, it could be the buyer sees it online and passes it by. 41%, that's a huge number, will not look at a home that appears to need work. So you need to take it into your decision-making process, all the different pieces. You got to make your home look like a model home as best as you can, because your competition is new construction without a doubt. And they are pushing beautiful Corinthian leather finishes, all included. Plus, they'll incentivize you by paying closing costs and give you credit to do landscaping and all that stuff. So seller credit for tired carpet and broken stuff just does not work. So you got to pick the right agent to help you do that. And, there are dumb agents that just blow up deals because they don't know what they're doing. And I've had it happen to me before, when the agent made a mistake and tried to get the seller to pay for it, and everybody gets mad, then the deal blows up. That should never happen. Okay. You want to make sure that that it's a good experience. I was just talking to a seller yesterday, and they were talking about how, I was saying, hey, a lot of buyers are asking the seller to pay for their loan closing costs. They're like, what? Why are we paying? Oh, they're buying a house right now. They didn't ask the seller to pay their costs. They just thought that was crazy. But that is the kind of thing that we're seeing going on in the market, because many of the agents are not educated about the market or the competition that they're facing when they bring an offer. So if you want to get that free in-home consultation, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We'll give you tips on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, give you a really good idea what your home will sell for, plus go over the cost so you know what you'll put in your pocket, and show you our list of buyers just for you. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Real Estate Sold Guaranteed Realty. And it's, wait, I duplicated something here. Let me do that again. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about how accurate is Zillow when it comes to home values. Don't miss that. Okay.
I go too long there, DJ?
I think a little, but
You're fine.
I gave him two places where I duplicated what I was saying. Let me take this off for a second. God, I should not have mentioned my neck headache, because both of them are just getting exponentially worse.
Like I said, I had Tylenol, but that's all I carry.
Yeah, and that's
Everything else is hard on my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Advil was supposed to be easier than Tylenol on your stomach. Isn't that what everybody says?
I don't know.
My stomach is.
Advil rips my stomach apart, so I don't think so.
Yeah, I have to eat carbs when I take those pills.
I don't see, in
Mhm.
terms of my stomach, I don't see a lot of difference. I have never taken two Tylenol, Advil, or two of anything. I end up automatically taking three. Barb, a lot of people go off those automated values, like on Zillow, to determine what their home is worth. So how does a home seller know what they're, okay. All
Let me
right.
step
I
out
got
just a
this.
second. I'll be right back. And Richard, I mean, you're gonna make it through these next two segments? I could ad lib if I wanted, if you needed me to.
Can you say again?
I wanted to know if his head hurts too much to finish the segments, I could probably ad lib through the rest of it if he needs me to.
No, you know what? I probably made it sound worse than it is. I've got a headache, but it's not debilitating. Let's put it that way. I do appreciate the offer, though.
He's
Okay.
powered through worse.
Yeah. Because the deal is, there's two factors I need to put in. One is I have a Red Bull back there, and the other is I just took some Tylenol. So between the two of them, they'll get me through this.
Yeah, you might be having a caffeine withdrawal.
Yeah, it could be. Honestly, very well could be.
All right, I'll be right back.
I used.
All right, I'm back whenever you guys are ready. Mr. Mark.
Okay. Take another swig of Red Bull here. That did not make much of a dent.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Barb, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Excellent.
I got a clock. I'll count us down. We'll go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, a lot of people go off those automated valuations like they see on Zillow to help determine what their home is worth. How does a home seller know what their home value is? Is Zillow accurate?
You know, Richard, I get a kick out of the public's reaction to this company. So they are a tech company with a mission to try to take over the world of real estate and do everything online. So imagine buying a home without seeing it. A lot of people are doing that. They have been doing that. I wouldn't say a ton, but a small percentage. They'll go out and just based on the pictures, actually make a decision as to whether or not they're going to buy a home. And the problem is the pictures do lie. In fact, when we helped our son buy that home in California, you know, I did just like everybody else. I went up on Zillow, not because I wanted to. It's just that I couldn't get into the MLS system out there. I wasn't a member of the California one. And the only other choice was realtor.com, which is also a tech company. It's not the MLSs. It's not the realtor services that offer homes for sale. It's a third-party tech company that makes money mostly off of real estate agents that don't know how to generate leads, to be really honest. But, you know, the problem is they are favored in Google because they have the national scale of consuming all of the MLS data in the country, presenting it as one website, and then going out there and positioning themselves as the quote experts of the industry. Okay. And so I get a kick out of how focused the public is on that website. And I did use it. I will be honest. I did use it to buy this home, but I didn't rely on Zillow's pictures. In fact, I looked at Zillow's pictures, and most of the homes, when I went by to actually see them. They looked great online. When I went to see them, it was a completely different story. Let me give you an example. So this area is just east of Palm Springs. Remember when they had a hurricane just a few months ago? Richard, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Hurricane in Palm Springs, of all places. They're just east of there, about an hour. And I went and visited this home. It looked really pretty. The problem was the way it was built. It was sunken from the street level a good 5 to 6 feet. And I'm like, oh, that thing's going to flood anytime they get excess water, which doesn't happen that often. But all it takes is one time to completely trash that house. So it really wasn't built properly to divert water away from the foundation. But the pictures did not tell the story. Many others looked a lot prettier than they did live in person. And so I didn't even inquire to get into any of those. So people think Zillow is the cat's meow. Now, Zillow will show all of the history. It'll show their opinion of the value of your home. But basically what they've consumed is a combination of the county tax records, whatever they can get from there, as well as any historic listing that they had on it. So and just to go back on the history on Zillow, when they started, which was back in the early, probably 2006 to 2008, somewhere around there. Rupert Murdoch is the guy that owns, I think, Fox News and some of these other big conglomerates. He owns Realtor.com, or his company owned Realtor.com. And so when Zillow came on the scene, they got into a fight because Realtor.com is basically all the 1,500 different MLSs in the country combined as one website, because most people don't know where the boundary lines are between different areas. As an example, Pueblo has a different MLS than the Pikes Peak region, and Denver has a different MLS than the Pikes Peak region and Pueblo. All three of them are completely different, and they don't talk to each other. So it's hard for buyers to find out what is the best resource for information. So what Realtor.com did is they consumed all of the different listings, presented it, all the different listing services, and presented it as one website. So you could be anywhere in the country and look at homes. The problem is the website didn't deliver what I asked for. So I ended up going to Zillow. But what happened between Rupert Murdoch and Zillow was that Zillow said, wait, I want to get this feed from Realtor.com of all the different listings in the country. And Rupert Murdoch denied them. They said, no, you're our competition, so you're not allowed. So basically there was this big, huge, probably multi-billion-dollar lawsuit, and Zillow lost. So Zillow had to go out and individually negotiate with each one of the 1,500 MLSs in the country in order to get the data. That's why you'll see different data on different websites. And the most accurate data is the data that's posted in the local MLSs, but the public doesn't know how to get there. So Zillow created scale, so did Realtor.com, by having a whole country's worth of data, which Google favors, right? And that puts them on page 1 of Google, no matter what happens on any given address. And they are going to show the whole story, how many times you've lowered the price. So it used to be you could pull your house off the market for 30 days and put it back on as a fresh new listing, but it's still going to show, both of those websites are going to show that you were willing to take a lower price a few months ago. Okay. So it's all out there for them to consume. And what they do is average the home sales around you without knowing anything about your home, without knowing the improvements in your home, without knowing whether or not you have views, which does result in more market value. And in fact, companies like Zillow, who is now coupled up with Open Door to make lowball cash offers on your home, lost over $1 billion. That's a lot of money overpaying for homes. Let me tell you a story. I went out on a listing appointment during the boom, met with this young man, and the house was, it was empty, but it was kind of a mess. It needed paint and carpet. And he said, oh, well, Open Door offered me $750. And I'm thinking, dude, you should take it. I didn't say that, but he didn't hire me. And then a year later, that home went on to sell for $100,000 less than what Open Door paid him for the home. So they were doing this because they had this Pollyanna view that the money was going to keep coming and the markets were going to keep rising. And so how can you rely on somebody that lost $1 billion to give you an opinion of what your home is worth? At the end of the day, if your home is priced too high, the market's going to tell you right away with very few showings and no offers. If you priced it just right, you're going to get lots of showings and you might get multiple offers. Even the National Association of Realtors has said that if you price a home too high and slowly walk the price down, you're going to net less money. So pricing is critical. And these online valuations can be off by as much as $111,000 of homes around you because they don't know your home. I just pulled up one of the addresses that I have listed right now, and the variation in values range between 15 and 94,000 of what it is worth. So here's that home. And basically the comps were between 575 and 569. They priced it right, not too high, but not too low, right? They priced it at $499. We had 36 people at the open house and we sold it for over asking price. So the only way that happens right now in this market with the high interest rate environment is that you have to make all the stars align. Great preparation, great pricing, great marketing, picking the right agent. If you get all those things right, you will succeed and you'll still be able to make a good amount of money on your home. Now, why does some homes get bidding wars and others don't? Well, it's a factor of supply and demand. Buyers are looking, they don't care what the comps say. It doesn't matter to them. They care about what can they get in their price range right now. So if you overprice a home, I don't care what price range it's in, it's going to sit there. It's either going to get a lot of showings and no offers, or it's going to get very few showings and no offers. And sometimes it's a little tweak. I'm showing you this home right now that was remodeled, looked really pretty. We're getting showings and low ball offers. And all we did was make a 1% price change and boom, it sold right away at full price. This one over on the west side of town, there was probably a $50,000 range of similar sales, 650 to 7. I convinced the seller to price at 650 and he didn't want to. He was going kicking and screaming. But we had 40 people at the open house. We had 6 offers, and I was able to play mom against dad and get him $700,000 cash. So he was real happy with that. So pricing your home realistically versus optimistically will always command top dollar. And you have to take a look at the whole picture. Look at similar sales. Look at what other buyers have purchased. Look at what other buyers can get right now. And if it's not selling, then there's something wrong. Right now, the average days on market is only 40 days. Okay, well, 40 days is a longer time than what we've seen in the past. However, in terms of buyer's market versus seller's market, we're kind of right on the edge of being a balanced market. A typical buyer's market, the average days on market is over 90 days. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. I'm also the broker and owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. And we're talking about these automated valuations and how companies like Zillow and Realtor.com can be drastically off in the home price. And next up, we're going to touch on how to get it priced right so you don't miss the perfect buyer in the first 30 days. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can reach her at 719-301-3900. Now, Barb, I know you and your team are a home valuation expert business. And how do you help home sellers with establishing a fair wait? I got that wrong again, Barb. I'm sorry. We'll do that again. 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. You can reach her at 719-301-3900. Barb, I know you and your team are home valuation experts and can help home sellers with establishing a fair price. But what are the things that make a home more valuable so that sellers can get more money when they do sell?
Oh, I get this question a lot, Richard. You know, what adds value? Is it my tankless water heater? And actually, it's surprisingly, it's Number one, of course, is location. Now, if you're selling a home that you bought in whatever location, it doesn't matter. You can't change that. Pricing is absolutely critical. Pricing could actually add value, and condition is critical, in particular, cosmetic condition, like the flooring and the finishes and the appliances. And buyers basically just want move-in ready. So, but to get there, you want to make sure you price it. Now, there are some sellers that don't want to do any remodel, right? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to price it there. Otherwise, the buyers are going to turn their nose up and go, it needs too much work. So pricing is a form of marketing, and pricing it right will start negotiations with your ultimate buyer. Now, condition of the home, the seller's control, right? And a lot of people ask me, well, can't I just give a $2,000 credit and they can put their own carpet in? Most buyers can't look past that. Most buyers are very visual. So if they get there and they see it needs work, they can't envision themselves writing a check for $3,000 to $5,000 for carpet after they just paid closing costs and all the money it takes to get into a home. Is not going to work. 41% of the buyers will pass on a home like that. So don't eliminate half the buyer population. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to get a really good idea of what your home will sell for, we do that service. We also provide a whole bunch of really good free reports on our website, barbhasthebuyers.com. You just click on the green button on top. One of them is called Prepare to Sell for the Most Money, or How to Get the Price You Want and Need. All of these free reports are offered for free. And if you don't work online, that's fine. Give us a call. Either go to the website, barbhasthebuyers.com, or give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you can reach Barb at 719-301-3900. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about, does your agent really know how to negotiate? Plus, Barb's hot new listings. Stay tuned for that. I love, you know what? I love when you tell people, because they really need to know that whether it's real estate or law, they don't teach you anything about negotiating. And I say this in the live things all the time, that, you know, the average person went out and got a real estate license during COVID and, you know, hopes to sell maybe one or two homes. It's almost like a hobby. They don't even get any education in negotiating or, you know, how to market something. It's kind of scary, actually.
It's really scary. It's really frustrating, especially when you deal with the dumb young agents.
And I can see it, because everybody I've ever known, going all the way back to television, everybody I've ever known that's in real estate insists on sending me some sort of this or that every month. And yeah, I should be polite and just say, you know what, guys, don't you know? I mean, this is just, but I guess you're banking on what you talk about, and that is, oh, I know somebody's in real estate, I'll give them a call, or, you know, the person who helped me buy this home.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, let's see. Let me get a new clock here. I got so focused on the script. I am ready.
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb, I know from my experience as a trial lawyer, there was almost no training on how to negotiate, not in law school. I had to learn from my colleagues, and by doing it, are agents trained to negotiate this sale for home buyers or for sellers?
I don't think so, Richard. In fact, I think a majority of them are just messengers, right? Or they try to position themselves as, oh, I know what I'm doing. And they'll say crazy things, like they'll be in the house with a buyer that says, I love this house. And the first thing out of the agent's mouth is, oh, it's not worth this much, right? So they disparage the home of a home that the buyer wants. It's like, what's wrong with you, dude? You know, we're trying to get to closing. We're not trying to talk them out of buying a house. But I think it's from this whole goofy thing that the Division of Real Estate teaches about. You have to, if you sign an agreement, you have to be their fiduciary and put their needs ahead of yours. Well, if they just told you they love this house, guess what your fiduciary duty is to do? Is to get them the house, not talk about buying it. It's unbelievable the stuff I see day in and day out in my practice, working on deals every single day. And right now we're kind of in a moderate seller's market, and some sellers are kind of surprised. They all want full price as is, easy button, of course. And actually, if they've done everything right, like what we saw in the hot market, where the homes would experience multiple offers and they get to pick from the best offer, that is the best case scenario. And for me, it's an absolute hoot. It's a good time, because then you have leverage, right? You've got more choices of buyers to work with rather than just maybe one. I'll give you an example. Like this home that I was telling you about in this whole show had a bunch of people at the open house, had lots of offers after that, but it still took about 10 days to start getting offers. And they were pretty close to grabbing the first offer because listening to all of the stuff that's been going on in the market about it being more of a balanced market, and a lot of concessions have been going on, and sellers are having to give equity up just because there's more choices on the market, and the buyers aren't really pulling the trigger as much as they were before. And so they were concerned about that. And we were just this close to going under contract, probably about 4 or 5% below the asking price. And this is what happens. So some of the agents don't really communicate that they're going to bring an offer at all. Don't you think that's weird, Richard? You get a buyer that wants to buy. You spent the time to sit down and go over the whole contract with them, write an offer, and then you send it without a text or a phone call or anything. Don't you think that's odd?
I think it is extremely odd. And I think it just points up, Barb Schlinker, the difference between you and how you conduct your business and the business of your clients and other people. That's why you are Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty.
Yeah, I mean, there should be some dialogue, in my opinion, about it. And, they should ask questions when you're sitting down to write an offer. Hey, I'm going to bring you an offer. Do you have any other offers? Because it would make a difference on how you position that offer if you've got competition, right? You might make a different offer if you have competition. But in this case, we were working one offer. We had the counter in hand, signed, ready to go. And without any notification, the other offer came in, which was a good 20,000 higher than the one that we were going to work with. So I had to scramble and hide that one and run to the seller. This is, of course, all over the holidays. And go, hey, wait a minute, stop the presses. We got a better offer here. Let's consider this one first before we go back to the lowball offer. And so they ended up going under contract with the higher offer, which was a good thing. Now, neither one asked the question as to whether or not I had competition. Neither one, which I thought was really kind of surprising, because it was a home that was priced right. It was marketed right. I don't understand why they can't pick up the phone and call. It's not like I'm hard to get a hold of. Okay, but with all negotiations, there's a strategy. So the seller, first of all, needs to price the home. It's not my decision. And there are some sellers that tell me, oh, I priced the home based on what my agent told me to price the home. And the agent didn't even ask what the seller, what they wanted, what was their goals, what was their motivation, what was that number that would make them move, right? So, but it is a seller's decision. It's not the agent's decision. Positioning as far as marketing is concerned, that would be the agent in cooperation with the seller to help them make the house look right. I've got one going on the market here next week that's amazing. But when I first saw it, it needed some work. But it was all in disarray. They were getting ready to move stuff out. They were going to paint the whole house. And when I went back to sit down with them yesterday, it was kind of fun to see the almost finished product of what they're going to be presenting to the market. And it was really night and day. And they didn't spend a lot of money. They just did all the right things in terms of declutter, painting, fixing broken stuff. That kind of thing will really help a home seller be positioned for success. And there's an awful lot of psychology here in the whole negotiation strategy. Some people will get so mad over a small amount of money, they will walk away from a home that they like. Isn't that crazy, Richard?
I don't understand it. And if you didn't explain this stuff to me, I'd be just shaking my head at what some of these people do in relation to their clients and the, buying and selling transactions.
Yeah. Recently I had one where the agent screwed up. The buyer wanted to include personal property appliances, refrigerator, washer, and dryer. The doofus agent forgot to put it in the contract. So we countered, we go under contract. He finally realizes it's a mistake, or his buyer reminds him, hey, I wanted those things. How come we didn't negotiate for that? Oh, okay. Don't worry. I'll get it for you on the inspection. So what's he do? He sends this inspection objection. The inspection was perfect. All I asked for was, as far as what was, quote, wrong with the house, was to have the furnace cleaned, which is routine maintenance. But in addition, now they want the refrigerator, washer, and dryer. And if they don't get what they want, they're walking away. Really? If it were, to me, it was an integrity issue. If I were that agent and I had made that mistake, I'd be stroking a check for refrigerator, washer, and dryer. That's what I would do. But most of these guys, oh, don't worry, we're just going to screw over this seller because I screwed up. He even told me, he admitted he made the mistake. That is how slimy some of these agents are. I mean, what do you think about that, Richard?
Again, I always compare other people. And I hear some of these stories. I compare it to you and the person that I've known for years, the person I've recommended to friends and relatives, and the person who always delivers, but more importantly, always has integrity. They communicate, you communicate with your clients. They trust you, you trust them, and it all works out in the long run.
Yeah. So deal blows up. Buyer doesn't get the house they want. Seller doesn't get the house they want. I mean, it's just ignorant, in my view, that they don't take the time to really understand what they did and what was going on. So I wouldn't do that. Like, if I look back on a deal I did, it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Nicest people. Oh, they were so nice. And we were selling grandma's house. She's in her either 89 or 90, right? And so we got an offer. We planned to counter 5,000 higher, but there's this little tick in the software that if it's checked, it makes the price part of the counter go away. And it was checked. It used to be defaulted. It's not defaulted anymore, thank God, but it was a defaulted setting within the software. So I drafted the counter. This box was checked. I didn't notice it. I had grandma sign it. We sent it off. Boom, we're under contract. Woohoo, everything's good. And then when I get the title work back, the price doesn't match what I thought we were selling the home for by $5,000. And I reached out to title and said, hey, what's going on? It was supposed to be this price, not this price. She goes, no, you need to read the contract. And so sure enough, that little box was checked. The price part was hidden from the contract. And it was under contract. The seller had agreed to sell it for $5,000 less. Now, an unethical agent would say, well, you should know better because you're a seller. But at the end of the day, okay, they don't know. They don't do this software every single day. You cannot expect the consumers to understand screw ups of agents. You just can't possibly do it. So once I realized the mistake, I'm like, I am so sorry. This is my bad. I will be writing you a check at closing for $5,000. And that's exactly what I did because I made the mistake. I know better. I can't expect a 90-year-old woman to know that the software left that out. But there are some agents that probably would do that just because they're that way. I'm not that way. So on the buyer side, they should be prepared to make an offer. Get some information. Don't just throw offers out there to the wind in the email and hope that everything's going to go through. Because there are times when people get busy, they miss emails. Anything could happen. You want to be all over them to say, hey, I got an offer. This is what we do is we help people buy and sell houses talk to me, right? Find out all the information that you can. Find out if you have competition. Find out what's important to the seller. Like, do they want to stay after closing? Maybe you don't have the highest offer, but you're offering the seller to stay after closing rent-free. That can be a really nice benefit to a home seller that would be willing to take a lower price just to not to have to move twice. And so there's a lot of flying blind here in negotiations, and really, most agents are not trained on it. And a lot of buyers think that, hey, if I just get stuff for my clients, that's good enough. But at the end of the day, it doesn't always work. You have to really open up the lines of communication and talk, and to make sure that everybody's happy, because right now, it's leaning towards a buyer's favor. They are getting more closing cost negotiations. They are getting more stuff in their negotiations, and you have to prepare your clients to be ready for it, and make sure you go over the contract. You wouldn't believe, I had people working for me, Richard, that wouldn't do that. They would, even though I told them, no, do not shove a 20-page legal contract at a customer that only does this a handful of times in their lives. And even though the state law says they're responsible for knowing what's in it, that you can't expect them to really understand the contract, right? And it's very long. So, but some of these agents will just shove it to them and go, oh, just sign it. Don't worry about it. Some potential landmines in those contracts are what's included, which appliances, which, like I have one that's selling a property that has a swim spa. That's not included. But is it included? Maybe it would be if they got the right price. I don't know. You have to negotiate for that. Seller concessions. If the buyer has to sell a house to perform, what about appraisal? What about getting a loan? All those kind of things factor into it. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the host of Your Real Estate Voice, also the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And we're talking about negotiations right now. Richard?
Barb, we're at 13 even right now. So do you want me just to pivot, jump over that other stuff? Because I don't know how we'll get that in, and go straight to the hot new listings.
Yeah, why don't we just do that?
Okay.
Just kind of cut that last part.
All right. I'll cut it down.
Or if you want me to re-record it and just say.
David says it's good. So we'll just do
Okay.
that. And then I'll start us in 3, 2, 1. Well, Barb, I know this is your favorite part, and the listeners love it as well. Tell us about your hot new listings and what's going on with them.
I have a beautiful home on 2330 Heatherdale, priced under $400,000 with a finished basement, backs to a walking trail, fresh carpet, great home. A beautiful 4-bedroom home on Nash Drive down in Fountain at $419,900. We have a stunning 4-level home on Sneffels. It's got 4 bedrooms in the upper 3s. An amazing home on 35 acres on Powers Road. We also have a beautiful 2-story on Lavanya Place, $449,000, gorgeous, almost new 4-bedroom. We also have a fabulous home, a ranch with a massive garage on almost an acre that backs to open space on Weeping Willow. Beautiful ranch at the end of a cul-de-sac on Brundage with fresh carpet. And this home is amazing on Cunningham, actually priced in the mid-4s. It has an RV garage, a massive detached 2-car garage, half-acre lot. It's stunning. And in beautiful Glen Eagle, a great home on Palma Valley, priced under $700,000 that backs to open space. We also have another one on Gull Lane out in Peyton on 5 acres, and a beautiful home with a 4-car garage on Woodmont Drive in the mid-7s. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. The program airs every Saturday. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. You can see replays of the show on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Has the Buyers, or check out Barb's website, barbhasthebuyers.com. You can listen to the podcast on all of the popular podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, etc. Thanks for listening. And to reach out to Barb again, 719-301-3900. Barb, we'll talk to you next week. Have a great week in the meantime.